The Chch'e'po was the first heavy self-propelled gun independently developed in the Democratic People's Republic of Korea (DPRK) for the Korean People's Army (KPA). This vehicle was developed as an ultra-long-range mobile artillery system meant to strike sensitive targets in the Republic of Korea (ROK) without having to cross the Korean Demilitarized Zone and expose the artillery to opposing counter-battery fire. The Chch'e'po or Chch'e gun, Chch'e is the political ideology of North Korea, is also named M1978 Koksan by the US Department of Defense, as it was first seen by US and South Korean analysts in 1978. This vehicle has had a fairly notable export success by DPRK standards, being sold to Iran in several tens of units. Hello and welcome to another Tank Encyclopedia voiced article. I'm your host Tony, and today I'll be covering the M1978 Koksan SPG. If you like our videos and want to support us, please consider donating on Patreon or PayPal. All of the funds will be used to improve future Tank Encyclopedia content. Any help will be greatly appreciated. The first Korean-produced SPG appeared in the late 1960s, when the Korean heavy industry was still underdeveloped. The first vehicles were simply Soviet ATS-15 artillery tractors with the roof and the sides of the cabin removed and a Soviet D-20 152mm or M46 130mm gun mounted in the rear cargo bay. The M1978 was developed in the early 1970s by the newly formed Second Economic Committee. Its main purpose was to hit sensitive targets in the Republic of Korea and its capital, Seoul, while taking cover behind the demilitarized zone. Its maximum range was 43 kilometers with conventional projectiles. This meant that a projectile can take more than a minute to hit a target south of the 38th parallel, allowing the gunners to fire a couple of shots and move to another firing position while avoiding the enemy's response fire. The origin of the hull is still under discussion. It could be that of the Soviet T-54 or T-55 main battle tanks or the Chinese version, the Type 59. All three vehicles were supplied to the Korean People's Army by the Soviet Union and the People's Republic of China. The T-54-2 and T-54-3 arrived in the Democratic People's Republic of Korea within the mid and late 1950s, but in very limited numbers. In the 1960s, the first T-55s arrived, and according to KPA sources, the first license-built T-55s left the factories in 1968. The maximum speed of all three was over 50 km per hour, with a maximum range of 450 km, 600 with external tanks, and a weight between 35 to 36 tons. The Type 59 was produced from 1959 onwards and was essentially a copy of the T-54A. The gun was essentially the same, with a smoke extractor and a different name, while range, weight, and top speed remained unchanged from the Soviet versions. The hull of the vehicles was heavily modified for the Chch'e'po, which is why it is difficult to identify of which hull it is based. The main armament of the Koksan is a very powerful 170mm cannon with a barrel length of more than 8 meters, meaning it is roughly an L50. Its caliber is very unusual. In fact, no Soviet, Chinese, or even Western artillery pieces have the same caliber. Two of these fortresses ended up in North Korean territory after the partition of the Korean Peninsula in 1945. These were the Russian fortress in the homonymous city on the border with the Soviet Union and the Wonsan Fortress port city on the east coast. The actual origin of the Koksan cannon is all but clear. It is not impossible that it was the North Koreans who independently developed such a cannon. The cannon has an estimated rate of fire of 2 rounds every 5 minutes. It can fire at least 3 types of projectiles, including high explosive fragmentation (HE-frag), with a range of 43 kilometers, enough to hit, for example, Incheon and Seoul. The second type of projectile known for the 170mm is a high-explosive rocket-assisted projectile (HE-rap), a type of fragmentation round with an independent propulsion that increases the range of the projectile to 54 to 60 kilometers, making it one of the longest-range projectiles in the world. This range was surpassed only in 2020 by the Extended Range Cannon Artillery (ERCA), which hit a target 70 kilometers away. However, this ammunition has some disadvantages. It creates very strong friction with the barrel, causing a rapid wear of the rifling. The turret and almost all of the top armor plate of the donor tank were removed, although the front part of the upper plate with the driver's hatch remained unchanged. An armored plate was welded to cover the hull and 3 rails were welded, on which the gun could slide. When the vehicle is in motion or parked in a barracks, the gun mount is centrally located, roughly where the turret was mounted. It is fixed in position by clamps that are fixed to the rails. When the gun has to be fired, the mounting is slid back. At the rear of the vehicle are mounted 2 spades. The spades are attached to the back of the hull and are hydraulically positioned. They can be folded in 2, thus taking up less space. At the front, the position of the driver remained unchanged, with a hatch on the left and a hatch added on the right, probably for the vehicle commander when on the move. The crew of 8 includes the driver, vehicle commander, gunner, and a total of 5 gun servants. The driver and commander have a seat inside the hull, while the remaining crew members must be transported on a support vehicle that also carries the ammunition and charges. On the Koksan, due to the limited space available, not even a single 170mm projectile can be transported. The M1978 went into production in 1973, even if, due to production problems, a sizable production rate was reached only in the following years. The first 3 dozen examples were spotted by military analysts in the small town of Koksan, halfway between Pyongyang and the DMZ. In 1978, well after production was already underway, the vehicle was kept secret for several years, not being shown on parades or exercises at least until 1987. The Koksan is supposed to be in service with the independent battalions of the General Staff Department's Artillery Command. Each battalion has 12 Koksans and 30 trucks, with a total of 150 to 190 soldiers, divided into 3 batteries with 4 Koksans each, and a headquarters unit. In 1989, a new variant of the North Korean heavy SPG appeared. The M1979 has a longer boat-shaped hull, allowing the transport of 12 170mm projectiles on board. The total number produced is not known, but some analysts have proposed a total number produced between the 2 variants of 500. The very unusual caliber and the isolation of the nation have limited its export success. However, it must be remembered that the Democratic People's Republic of Korea does export military equipment. The Democratic People's Republic of Korea had a decisive role in equipping Iran during the Iran-Iraq War. Due to the embargoes placed on the Persian nation, North Korea acted as an intermediary between the People's Republic of China and the Soviet Union on one side and Iran on the other, selling billions of dollars worth of tanks, missiles, airplanes, artillery, multiple rocket launchers, ammunition, and small arms to the Iranians. China and the Soviet Union would send the weapons to Korea, where they would be loaded onto merchant ships bound for Iran, often still in the original crates. In other cases, North Korea sold the Islamic Republic of Iran Army (IRIA) domestically produced versions of Chinese or Soviet weapons or even weapons developed in Korea. An unknown number of M1978 Koksans were supplied to the IRIA in 1987, along with some ammunition stocks. These self-propelled artillery vehicles were used to bombard Iraqi positions, although it is not known exactly in which engagements they were used and with what results. It seems that some were used in an artillery unit under the command of future General Qasim Soleimani to hit the city of Basra in Operation Karbala 5. One fact that is reported is that the Iranians were provided with HE-wrapped ammunition that allowed them to hit targets at a distance of 60 kilometers, arousing the interest of international observers. About 30 Koksans were captured during the final stages of the war by the Iraqis, while others are still in service with the Islamic Republic of Iran Army and shown in some parades in Tehran. The Iraqis appreciated the firepower and the incredible range and decided to produce their own version, often mistakenly confused with the original Koksan or considered a variant of it. Given the almost non-existence of the Iraqi heavy industry, the armament of the new self-propelled artillery was a powerful 180mm S-23L49 gun mounted on a German-made PLG-60 bridge crane vehicle. The Iraqi Koksan was captured in 2003 by US troops near the Al-Anbar University in the homonymous region of Al-Anbar. As with many North Korean vehicles, not much is known about the Koksan's technical specification or its deployment, but despite the usual stereotypes that bash unabashedly at military equipment produced in the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, the M1978 proved its worth and firepower in the Iraq-Iran War, proving to be a good weapon even in the hands of the poorly trained Iranian Pasdaran. With such a vehicle, in the unlikely event of a new war against the Republic of Korea, the Korean People's Army could provide excellent support or barrage fire, hitting targets up to 60 kilometers from its position. And that's it for this video. If you liked it, please leave a like and subscription. You can find more information relating to the M1978 Koksan in the full article, which is linked in the description. If you like what we are doing and want to let us continue working on these videos, please consider donating on Patreon or PayPal. All of the funds will be allocated to improving our articles and videos for you. Until next time, keep us in your sights.